I know Mike McGarry's been busy. The Major League Baseball draft is going on. Last night, you had to sit around to the 26th pick, but finally, Chase Petty was taken by the Minnesota Twins, and then already early today, another local pitcher was taken by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I know Mike has information on all these guys, plus the Phillies at the midway point. They went 2 out of 3 in Boston. Does that make us change our opinions at all, Mike? They have the easiest schedule in baseball the rest of the way by far.
Yeah, I mean, before the weekend, right, I said go 5-2 on the road trip, take 2 out of 3 in Boston, and that's what they did. They're 3.5 games back. Like I wrote in today's paper, they've given their fans a reason to sort of pay attention and hang in there, and not which I always hate when fans say, "Oh, if the Phillies are out of it by the time the Eagles have training camp, I'm not paying attention to baseball anymore." Like you can't do two things at once. It drives me crazy. But the Phillies this weekend have given their fans a reason to pay attention. They're 3.5 games back and played pretty well, the past 10 days against some really good teams, and especially the Padres and the Red Sox.
Yeah, I think, it was disappointing to lose the game against Chicago with Wheeler going, but to get to 2 out of 3, all I had said is, look, if you get to 44 and 44 at the halfway point, wipe the slate clean, start over, 3.5 back. That's a way better scenario than it could have been. A couple weeks ago, we were wondering if they were going to be 8 to 10 games out, and here they are, 3.5 back. So is that more the Phillies or the Mets?
Combination of both. Let's give the Phillies credit because they played well. Like you said, they take 2 out of 3 from the Padres. They take 3 out of 4 from the Cubs. They take 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox. They could have easily, as you said, have lost a lot of those series and find themselves 7-8 games back at the All-Star break. And then I think you got a problem going into the second half of the season. The Mets have been inconsistent this year. They split a series with a bad Pittsburgh Pirates team. Split a 4-game series. The Mets just haven't hit enough consistently to and that's what gives the rest of the teams in the NL East hope. The Mets have struggled to score runs at times. They've gotten good pitching. They play good defense, but they just haven't hit consistently. And that's why they're only 3.5 games up at this point. And so the Phillies are right there. And you hope maybe they found some answers. Maybe Ranger Suarez can solidify that back end of the bullpen, right? Maybe a lineup that you thought was going to, the Phillies were supposed to out-hit their troubles, right? Well, they didn't hit until about the last, 2 weeks. Now they've hit. Maybe the lineup keeps going forward. So maybe there's some answers there. There's still problems. You're still starting Vince Velasquez and Matt Moore every 4th and 5th day. But, they appear to have some answers. So we'll see what happens going forward. And they're in a division where they can take advantage of that.
Yeah, Mike, the Suarez thing's interesting. Yesterday, they threw him for 2 1/3. I mean, they obviously said he's the best thing we got. You wonder if they're going to come out of the gates with him in that closer role while they're trying to find more help in that bullpen.
Well, I think he's definitely the closer now. I think if there's a save opportunity Friday when they return against the Marlins in a doubleheader, he's going to be there. And he is intriguing, right? Because he started off as a starter and he's got that length. I don't think he's going to turn into Raleigh Fingers or Rich Gossage and do 2 or 3 inning saves. But he's the guy who should be able to go 1 1/3, maybe 1 2/3. And that's kind of what that bullpen needs, right? Because, they have – their biggest problem has been inconsistency or finding some consistency. And if Suarez can lock down that back end, everybody says it. What, they got 21, 22 blown saves?
22.
If they only have 15 blown saves, they're in first place.
Right, and that's a good point, Mike. Like 22 blown saves. If they get off that pace in the second half, I mean, they should be 8 games up by themselves right now. If you blow only half those games.
Exactly. Now I think they still have. They have 3 big issues, right? Or really 4 issues. They didn't hit early in the season. Now they're hitting. The bullpen was a mess. Maybe Suarez can solidify that back end of the bullpen and stop those really bad blown saves in the 9th inning. The defense and the back end of the rotation, that's going to be there. But there's no perfect teams in the NL East. The Acuna's out, Braves, the Nationals, I don't think they're going to fire this season. And the Mets, who knows? I mean, they just don't hit consistently enough to really distance themselves. So, the Phillies have as good a chance as anybody right now.
Yep, that Acuna Jr. unfortunate injury, I should say, unfortunate. We'll see how that kind of, basically is a huge factor in this race. You were waiting for Atlanta to make that move. It hasn't happened all year. You're talking about a guy whose numbers are Hank Aaron-like, only with the home runs and the stolen bases, and they're 4 back there. Phillies are 3.5. The Mets lead the division. We got the All-Star game tomorrow. We got the Home Run Derby tonight. You a Home Run Derby guy, McGarry?
I am and I'm not. I am interested, though, tonight to see Antonio, to see him in the Home Run Derby. And I believe he's matched up against Juan Soto in the first round, so I am interested to see that. I think the Home Run Derby sometimes goes on too long, but I am interested to see, him hit in the Home Run Derby. I have the baseball package, but I'm not – since Trout's been out, I haven't been up at 2 a.m. watching many Anaheim Angels games or Los Angeles Angels games. So I am interested in seeing him in the Home Run Derby. And I think he should, if baseball's smart, he should start tomorrow night's game and bat leadoff for the American League.
Well, he is pitching. From what I understand, I think they did name him the starting pitcher. It's going to be Scherzer is going to pitch for the National League, and Ohtani, I think, is going to start for the American League. So this is something as rare can be, a position player starting on the mound also.
Right. I mean, what did we go back to 1919 and 1920 to Babe Ruth, the last time it was really done? And, Babe Ruth just really did it with the Boston Red Sox in 18 and 19. I think in 1920, he threw only 5 games for the New York Yankees because the Yankees decided he would be more valuable as a right fielder than he would be on the mound, and they wanted him as a hitter. So, but basically you're seeing something here that I don't know if he can continue to do it, but you're seeing something here that's historic and hasn't been done since 1920. What's that, 101 years?
Right. Mike McGarry's here. All right, last night we saw Chase Petty basically steal the show. The MLB Network had him on for, they could have given him his own sitcom last night.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't disappoint last night in his interviews. Dropped a few names: Mike Trout, Fernando Tatis Jr. But what I like about Chase Petty, what I'm kind of working on a story right now, obviously he's the first guy to be picked in the first round since Mike Trout in 2009, and nobody is going to say that Chase's career, as talented as he is, nobody's going to put the pressure on him to say your career is going to unfold the way Trout is or compare him to Trout. However, having said that, what they do share in common is in 2009, Trout embraced the draft. He went out. He was the only guy to show up at MLB Network studios. He was the only player to do that. And Petty was one of the few players to travel out to Denver and experience that. And I think, and the kid's going to have a great weekend. He gets picked last night. He's going to the Home Run Derby tonight. He's having dinner with Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado tonight. He's going to the All-Star game tomorrow. Like he told me last night, he said, who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't want something like that? So I just think it speaks to the confidence in their abilities that both of them have just sort of embraced this process and made the most of it. Mike Trout back in 2009 and Chase Petty last night.
Yeah, now they asked Petty about what he's enjoyed the most about all this, and he said, the little kids coming up for his autograph, and, you went to probably every game that he pitched over the last couple of years. High school baseball games being at the time that they are, I don't really get to see them all that often. So I went to, a handful of games on the weekend or something. You have to imagine, I would imagine that those crowds for those games were way bigger than any high school games.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, high school baseball games, like you say, they're played at 4 in the afternoon. They're kind of like friends and family affair, right? Very close friends and family. If you have 50 people at a high school baseball game, it's a big crowd. But Petty drew Friday night football-like crowds to mainland baseball games. People lined down the right and left field lines. I remember walking behind the dugout and seeing a kid about 10 years old jump on the pitcher's mound and say, "I'm Chase Petty," pretend to be Chase Petty. And Chase did a great job with the young kids afterwards. After every game, there was a group of kids outside the mainland dugout, and Chase would come out and pose for pictures and sign autographs and do everything else. So, he really sort of, again, we talk about embracing the draft. He sort of embraced the craziness of the season. And like I've written several times, he lived up to, everything that everybody expected of him every time he took the field this summer or this past spring. And the reward was Sunday night when the Twins select him with the 26th pick in a slot that has a signing bonus of more than $2.6 million.
Yep. So that, and by the way, he's going to a place that he'll have some local flavor there as well in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works out, right? Cody Stashak, an Oakcrest graduate from a couple of years ago, has pitched for the Twins. I believe he's on the disabled list now, or the injured list now, with a back injury. But Sean Mooney, 2016 Ocean City graduate, is pitching at A level for the Twins right now. Mooney and Petty work out together at the Baseball Performance Center in Pleasantville. So obviously, maybe in South Jersey here, we got to go out and get some Twins jerseys or some Twins gear to go along with our Angels gear, right? To sort of support these guys.
Yeah, I know that, the Twins, obviously, this year kind of disappointing. Let me ask you about, I mean, a lot of people have, Petty obviously throws very hard. That put him on the map. Do you see him as a starter, a reliever? What's your anticipation?
Well, I think the Twins talked last night that they like him as a starter. You take a guy in the first round, you're going to try to do everything you can to make him a starter. They obviously like his velocity on his fastball, which is 100 miles an hour. They said they like his slider and his changeup also throws a two-seamer, so he has that four-pitch arsenal. He didn't have to throw the changeup a lot in high school. He could get by on his fastball and slider on the high school level, but he has that four-pitch arsenal. So you take a guy in the first round, you're going to project him as a starter. But, I mean, he's a pitcher, and he's an 18-year-old pitcher, and it's going to be probably a slow and steady ride towards the major leagues. They're not going to rush him. They're going to watch his innings and move him along to do what they can to maximize his ability and protect his health at the same time.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Where do they send him first, and how he performs right off the bat at that level. Because, he said the other night in an interview, he has been the hardest thrower at his age group pretty much his entire life. Now you make that next jump and you're sent out to, rookie ball or low A?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they exactly do now. They kind of redid the minor leagues this season. I guess they've got low A. There might be some developmental leagues that they can put these young draft choices in Florida. They used to have like the New York Penn League, which had the Staten Island Yankees and the Phillies affiliate up in Williamsport. That would start in late June, and that would be where a lot of these rookies would go. We'll see what happens right now. It would probably be either low A, or there might be some sort of developmental league for rookies, at the spring training sites in Arizona and Florida that he would probably, show up. And he has until August 1st to sign. These things usually play out, so, he'll probably be back on a mound somewhere, I would say, maybe September or late August.
And Bishop Eustace Anthony Solamento is also going to Pittsburgh. He was the first pick of the second round. I know he pitched in that game. I think it was in Summers Point, correct?
Correct. He pitched against Ocean City in that coaches versus cancer game that first weekend of the season against Matt Noonan of Ocean City. Eustace won that game 2-0. Noonan also pitched well. He's going to Boston College from Ocean City. But, yeah, Anthony Solamento, the other draft pick, he didn't have to wait long. Some mock drafts projected him going in the first round. He didn't go in the first round last night, but he goes in the first pick of the second round today. The draft started at 1 o'clock. At 1:05, he was off the board. So if you are going to go in the second round, that's the way to go. And it's still tremendous achievement second round. You're the 37th. Think about how many kids in America play baseball. You're the 37th, player selected in the draft. Yeah, we talk here, shrug our shoulders like second round, but it's still tremendous.
Oh, yeah, especially, you get two guys literally from about, an hour from each other that go in the, in the first couple of rounds of the Major League Baseball draft, which, this, Mike, 10 years ago it would be unheard of that a guy from this area was getting even thought of.
Yeah, we've talked about it several times before. There's just been an explosion of baseball talent in this region. A host of guys going to the Division I level, a host of guys who have been drafted in the past. Danny Noonan of Ocean City, Sean Mooney, we mentioned him, Cody Stashak, just a tremendous what baseball has become around here. When I first started in the early 90s, and I think you were in high school, it was kind of an afterthought behind football and basketball, shore area baseball. And now it might be the Cape Atlantic League's top sport.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Check him out over at AC Press McGarry on Twitter. And you can read all of his coverage of the Major League Baseball draft and everything else that's going on. The Phillies getting ready for the second half of the season. And Mike will be back on Wednesday as we look ahead to the second half for the Phils. All right, Mike, take care, man.
All right, we'll see you down the road. Thanks.
There he is, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City here on the Sports Bash.